not very many people get an opportunity to work directly for God and like build an army for God. Like, this is not like I'm going to build a church and I'm going to get people to come to church. Like, that's all cool. But this is like 50 levels deeper than that. This is like, I'm going to find men and I'm going to find the right men. And these strong alpha masculine men are going to be connected directly to God like I am now. And God is going to tell them what to do and what moves to make our world a better place.
You're listening to the premier podcast for men who want to not only be better with women, but want to be better men in general. This is the Come On Man podcast. And here's your host, Paul Bauer.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another week of Come On Man. If you haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications. If you are watching on YouTube, drop a comment. Any comment will do. Your favorite emoji or whatever. These are all pre-recorded on Mondays, but if you're in the live chat because you're catching it during the premiere at 10 a.m. Eastern time on Mondays, then sound off in the chat. Sometimes I usually join Monday mornings in the chat, just, while I'm editing clips for Monday. I'm usually editing Monday's clips that morning. So sound off in the chat. Sometimes I'm hanging out in there. If you are listening on your favorite podcast platform, your audio platform, give us a 5-star review. Tell us why you like the show. All that kind of stuff helps boost us in the algorithm. More than more than it should. So yeah, leave a 5-star review and actually write out, why you like the show. It can only be it can be as little as one sentence. You don't have to overthink it. Be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. The links are in the description. I'm on all major podcast platforms. If you're watching on YouTube, you'll see that I've changed the little, social media thing because I created a new TikTok account. It's at Best Men's Pod on TikTok because my original TikTok account was in a crushing shadow ban. So the new TikTok account is actually getting pushed to the For You page right now. So the link for that account is in the description. So give me a follow on my new TikTok account. Consider joining the Patreon, patreon.com/comeonmanpod. You can join for as little as $10. And on these episodes, on Monday's episodes on YouTube, if you join the tier 1, you get added to the beer credits at the end of the episode. So do that. Plus, you also get all of these episodes ad-free. So just the interview portion without all this intro stuff. Plus, because this episode's dropping in February, for the entire month of February, I am giving access to my Law of Attraction course to all Patreon members for 50% off. So if you join the Patreon, even if you join tier 1 for $10, you get 50% off my Law of Attraction course, which is a pretty considerable discount. So if you go to loa.comeonmanpod.com, you can see how much I'm charging for that. Knock off 50% just for joining the Patreon. Okay. And then all existing Patreon members, I'm going to be dropping a discount code there on the Patreon. So if you're a part of the Patreon, you don't log in that often, because a lot of guys, they don't realize that that they're a part of the Patreon and they get all this stuff like ad free. They don't even watch the videos, but they're there for you. But log into the Patreon if you're a Patreon member, because there's going to be a discount code for you to get my course at 50% off for the entire month of February. So do that. Make sure you get on the email list. That's list.comeonmanpod.com. And I will give you some free stickers. The stickers that you get, if you're watching on YouTube, these are what the stickers look like. I also have merch available now. If you're watching on YouTube, below the video, you'll see that I have merch with this stuff on it. So you could also support the show by buying some merch. Or if you're listening on the audio platform, you can go to merch.comeonmanpod.com. That's merch.comeonmanpod.com. And that'll take you to my Teespring store where you can buy, coffee mugs and t-shirts and hoodies and all that fun stuff. That all supports the show as well. All right. Well, enough with the housekeeping. Let's talk about my guest here. My guest today is a man who's developed an app that is it's going to be pretty interesting. And I think some of you guys are going to be a little bit skeptical, and that's okay. And he says in the interview too that if you're skeptical, then you should that he probably doesn't want you to use his app. But he's got this app called the Godwalk app. And the majority of that is what we're going to talk about today, is how he got to creating this app. But the Godwalk app is what he says is that it basically allows you to connect directly to God, and it actually helps sort of put you in tune to receive God's message directly. So if you guys are like staunch atheists, just this episode's not for you. Just tune out right now. If you guys are somewhat agnostic but curious, stay tuned. You might find it fascinating. If you guys are a devout Christian, this might be an episode for you. So, there's always, when you bring religion into any kind of conversation, it becomes polarizing, right? So what I invite you to do is listen to this episode with an open mind. And, if the message resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, great. No harm, no foul. But this is a fun conversation. This guy, Daniel, my guest today, is a fascinating guy, and his story is interesting, to say the least. So I will bring you that conversation right after these words. Do you want a positively unfair advantage in life? Most people tiptoe through life hoping they'll make it safely to death. They let life happen to them. Up until now, I'm assuming that's been your situation. Am I right about that? But you know deep down that you're destined for more. You know that you deserve more money or better relationships, yet you're stuck doing the same thing over and over again, getting the same results. That ends today, because you're going to check out my Practical Law of Attraction course. My Practical Law of Attraction course will give you the tools necessary to write your own story. You will be in the driver's seat of your life, not just the passenger. Your life is already getting better because you're listening to this message right now. Access this course at loa.comeonmanpod.com. That's loa.comeonmanpod.com. When you're done with this course, the results that you see for yourself will be better. Others will see how your life is changing for the better. And you'll know that everything in this course is true because your life will be better. But the choice is up to you. You have to decide if you want to stay where you are or achieve goals so big that it will blow your mind. The law of attraction is nothing without action. So what are you waiting for? Act now. All right, joining me this week is an interesting man who worked for 22 years in the mortgage sector before shutting his other businesses down to solely concentrate on creating an app that connects people directly to God's revelation on a morning basis. His name is Daniel. Is it Kryznel? Am I pronouncing that?
It's Kryznel.
Kryznel. Geez, I am the worst. I'm absolute worst with names. So Kryznel. Okay, Daniel Kryznel. What's going on, Daniel? Thanks for joining me today.
Man, I'm excited. I love to be a part of this. Like I was talking to you about before we got started here. Like I really like what you're doing here on this channel. So glad to be a part of it.
Yeah, we're trying to level men up. A lot of it is, getting better with women. But what I find is when guys work on trying to do what's necessary to get better with women, they end up being better men in general because they start working on all areas of their life.
Yeah.
It's kind of an interesting sort of motivator that women give us in that regards.
I agree.
So I mentioned the mortgage sector here at the beginning, and in 2008 there was a major crash in the housing market overall. How were you impacted by that?
Yeah, it was overnight. So I owned my own mortgage company. I was in Las Vegas, 2006 and 2007, hundreds of thousands of dollars monthly is what we would make as a company. And my personal income was that too. And it was massive. A bunch of toys and everything. And then March of 2008, like it literally, like the faucet got turned off.
Yeah.
And we went from making a bunch of money to nothing overnight.
Yeah. Now, not to get off on like that side topic, but I mean, did you see that coming? Because I've
No.
heard different stories. Some people didn't see it coming. Some people were like, "Oh yeah, it's inevitable." Like, so you didn't see it coming at all.
No, because the last time something like that happened was in the early 90s,
Hmm.
and that was before I got into the business. So I had no like prep or anything to look back on to see it. So no, I had no idea whatsoever.
Got it.
And
90s. That was the savings and loans. Is that right?
I think so, like 92. This is like what I heard after, I was involved in 2008. I don't know too much about it.
Sure.
And one thing I want to say is like I wasn't a victim. Like
Hmm.
I'm a man, like I could have done what I needed to do to make the money I needed to make in the real estate business, even, in March and April and all that in 2008. I was out, like I was running. I'm like, forget this. I am not, my decision is I'm going to drink. I'm going to
Hmm.
drink myself to death or drink myself to oblivion and be numb about this. Cause like, I can't handle this. Like that's literally where my mindset was. It was a decision.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, because looking at your information that your team gave me, it says that you turned to drinking, you lost cars, toys, money, you lost your children.
Yeah. So the mother of the children, she left. She
Mm,
didn't want to she didn't want to ride this roller coaster,
yeah.
which I don't blame her. And she took the kids. And I wasn't the man that I needed to be or the father I needed to be at that point. I was literally drunk all day long.
Yeah.
I mean, it lasted for a while. It was bad.
So one thing that like I'll say about that, a lot of guys will blame women for leaving in situations like that, but it's like one thing that I have a working hypothesis that women don't necessarily leave you because like, the business dried up or you lost your job or whatever. They usually leave a guy because he gave up on himself. Would you agree with that?
I do. In a lot of cases, I didn't have my shit together. Like Paul, I am like raising my hand and I like interrupted you and said, look, I could have figured it out and I didn't. Like, I want to be
Yeah.
that guy, not the victim, weak man that's coming on your show going, yeah, the real estate market really kicked me. No, like it did, but
Yeah.
my decision was I'm going to get drunk, not I'm going to figure it out.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's where a lot of guys fail. And it's not necessarily they lost their job and that's why they failed. It's like they lost their job and then they're just like, oh, woe is me. And they go into this depression and it's like they don't just, dust themselves off and go, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
Because I think like if they're married and they're in that kind of situation where they lose their job and they have that kind of attitude, like, don't worry about it, honey. Like everything's gonna be fine. And then they hit the ground running, they update their resume or whatever it is,
Yeah.
get a new business idea. Like women are like, they like guys that are ambitious, but guys that just totally give up on themselves is just unattractive behavior,
Yeah. I agree. She probably looked at me like, what a mess. I want nothing to do with this. And I'm glad it happened the way it did. It happened for me. It did not happen to me. I can promise you that. Like every single thing that happened, especially the uncomfortable things, it was perfect. It was divine.
Gotcha. So you basically climbed out of that and you became a coach for a while for realtors. Is that right?
Yeah, there's a little piece I want to add,
Okay.
just so everyone really knows like exactly how it went. Like I was so broke and drunk and I had to call my dad and I'm like, I need a place to stay. And he let me stay on his couch. And for 2 years, I lived on my dad's couch, like multimillionaire. Now I'm living on my dad's couch. I'm back at home. And
Mm,
I would drink all day long from morning until night until one morning I stopped. And that was the change that happened. This isn't like an alcohol podcast. I'm just telling you, like, this is my story. Like
yeah.
God literally spoke into my mind one morning and said, son, you're done drinking. And I haven't drank since. Like my life has been exponentially full of abundance. Like it's changed completely because of this one moment that I listened to this voice that came in.
Gotcha. So now I know I'm going to get this question from like the atheist types, right?
Yeah.
So, now have you ever heard the expression that if you talk to God, you're praying, but if he talks back, you're crazy? like how do you know, how did you know that it was God? And
Yeah.
two, what do you say to guys like that?
Yeah. So it's kind of a loaded question. So let me start with this.
Yeah.
And I completely appreciate it. The first thing is I've stacked evidence upon evidence upon evidence of when I hear this voice and I act on it, my life gets better. Like better. Like I have more sex than anybody I know has on a daily and sometimes hourly basis. Like it's incredible. I can have sex whenever I want. Now this is with my wife. Okay. Let me clarify that.
My man. Okay. No, you hound dog. No, it's okay.
But my body is strong and healthy and full of energy. My financial purpose is exactly online, all because I've listened to this voice. So when someone tells me, "Oh, well, how do you know it's real?" Like, are you effing kidding me? That's like what I want to say. Like,
yeah,
I have everything, and my life is more well-rounded than anybody. Like you, like let's hang out for a day and look at me and look at you, and then let's see who's got more abundance. Like it's not me, it's God. He's given me all this.
yeah.
So that's like the first way I answer it.
Okay.
The other easier way is that when I heard this voice for the first time, it was booming, it was loud, it was like serious, and it was like it was inside. There was no doubt that it was a voice. And I felt calm and certainty at the same time. Like I never felt all these emotions all at once. And I'm like, I have to listen to this. So I did. And I wasn't able to stop drinking. I tried to stop drinking, not for those 2 years, but 10 years, 15 years before that. I couldn't. I never could stop. Literally, God enters my mind and says, "You're done." I'm listening. I'm communicating with his voice, and I haven't even wanted to drink. That was 2008. No, 2010, July 7, 2010. I haven't had a drink or wanted to since then because of that voice. So yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
God is real.
What, so leading up to that, you're living on your dad's couch, you're drinking all the time. I mean, were you at any point like trying to focus on how to get out of that situation, or were you just like focused on getting the next drink? Like, I'm just trying to. I'm just trying to think of the process that led up to like what led God to say, he needs me now, kind of situation.
95% of it was just drinking and being useless.
Okay.
I would say 5% of it in between, those waking moments, trying to figure out and go, man, I need to get my shit together. But that's not enough time when you're spending, 9.5 hours out of 10 hours, just, going downhill versus trying to go uphill for just a little piece of it. So
yeah,
it was a little bit. Bit.
Okay. I'm just curious about that. Yeah. When you say that, like you'll get this, voice in your head or whatever, I often have that situation happen to me a lot. I like to talk about a lot on the podcast about law of attraction, but it to me, it goes hand in hand with like any religion. And a lot of that is, if I'm really focused on something, like I do get those sort of like epiphanies, like you should do this, read this book, talk to this person, go here today. And if I just don't question it and act on it, like things work out very well, So no, I get the idea of, or I can imagine what that voice sounds like to you, but I'm sure it sounds.
And the other, it does. The other part that's like really exciting, and when we get to it, talking about the Godwalk app, like I figured out a way to like channel that voice every single time you want it. Like this is no like, hey, I'm a great coach, hire me. Like, no, this is better than anybody has ever heard. Like the fulfillment on the opportunity that we're going to talk about today is the best and biggest fulfillment any man has ever heard or seen in his life. Guaranteed. There's nothing that can stack up to what we're about to talk about with the Godwalk app. Like I guarantee you this, because every single answer and every single direction that you get is from the creator that knows everything. We just know like this much. So when people are able to tap into this strength and this power and the ultimate source, like their life changes exponentially. Like that's why it's like someone asked me, is there any competition? No.
Yeah.
No one's bigger than God. And
how can you compete with God? Come on now.
Yeah, I know. It's kind of funny. I laugh.
I do have some questions about your app. So we'll get to that. Let's go back though to so God basically tells you to stop drinking. That's when you just got into coaching. Is that right?
No. So
Okay.
quickly, a few years after that, I was like, okay, now I'm sober. 3 or 4 days go by. Now, like my mind is like not poisoned completely,
Yeah.
and the fog is starting to lift. And I'm like, I gotta make some money. And so I got into network marketing business, became one of the top executives. It was great. But it wasn't mortgage money.
Okay.
So about 2 years of that, of being sober, listening to a little bit of God's voice, but not really understanding like how to get it. But just when it would come, I would listen. I would have the success, and then I'm like, I got to get in the mortgage business. So I got back in the mortgage business, and then I took off better than I ever had. And it wasn't a market-based like business for me at that point. It was I got really good at the craft. Like
Okay.
my talents like really shined with being able to like build relationships with family, so they would trust me, and I'd be able to help them with their purchase of their home. Like it was a big deal. And the owner of the company I was working with at the time, he made me an owner of the company because he didn't want me to go anywhere. I was doing a lot of business. I had my own branch, and then my own building, and my own team, and my own staff, and things were great. And then it's this one morning, and this is when the Godwalk app like started. Like this was like the infancy stages of it. Can we go over that now?
Yeah, that's what I was gonna lead to. So you made all this money back, but you still were like unfulfilled, right?
Yeah, it was.
Which
It
is
was
so
this.
funny. Which is so funny to me because I've talked to other millionaires, and a lot of them will have a similar, not like they won't come up with like a God app type thing, but what they'll come to the realization is that building all this wealth and money doesn't make them happy, and they have to find like a real purpose. So, yeah.
Yes.
So please continue. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is what happened. I'm in my mortgage building, like it's my building, and it's 5:30 in the morning. It's the 7th day of the month. I've been working in the mortgage business for years now, again on the second round. And it's now 22 years of total experience in the mortgage business. I'm killing it. It's 5:30 in the morning, 7th day of the month. I'm looking at my bank accounts. No one else is in the office. My door is open. I look at my bank account, and the 6th, the day before, there was $131,000 deposited in my account. And that represented 6 days worth of closings for that month. So I was on track to make $500,000 that month, like for sure. With the momentum that I had, I looked at the pipeline. I'm like, wow, I'm going to have a record month. Like I've never done $500,000 in 1 month. This is going to be exciting. And then I felt myself selling myself on trying to feel good about this. And that's where it like flipped, man. I was like, whoa, I've got the kids, the money, the cars, the health. What is going on? And that's where this really got interesting.
Gotcha. Let's backtrack a little bit too. So when 2008 happened, your wife left. Did you remarry?
No,
did you get her back? Okay.
No, I remarried.
Oh, you did remarry.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. All right. I just curious. So, and then you have your kids, you at least have like some kind of partial custody with your kids, or do you have new kids or like, okay.
Yeah, all of it. Actually, I've got new kids. I've got grown up kids now. Everyone's happy.
Okay.
So yes, I have all of the above.
All right. Yeah. Okay. I'm just trying to fill in some gaps here in my mind here. Okay. So you become aware that you don't really care about having almost $500,000, in sales. And you're just like, so did God reach out to you again and said, hey, I
reached out to him.
Okay.
This time I reached out to him.
Okay.
I'm like, okay, there's something off here. And the only person I know how to deal with this is God, because as I'm building this relationship, it's not really strong yet, but it's there. And so I look into the ceiling tiles. I lean back in my office chair, I look into the ceiling tiles, and I'm like, God, why do I feel like this? This is not cool. I literally told God, I said, you know that I have the money, the cars, all this crap, and everyone's healthy and in my life, like, and I'm healthy. Like, what is going on? He speaks to me and he says, son, in that same booming voice, he goes, you're done doing mortgages. You're not a mortgage guy anymore. I built you for way more.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, wow, well, this sounds exciting. And he's like, so you're done. You're not going to close mortgages anymore. I'm like, now I'm trying to negotiate with God. I'm like, okay, God, I'm pretty good at this thing. Like, I built everything back up. Like, I got expenses, God. I got plenty of money, but I've got like expenses. Like,
yeah,
how am I going to like keep this lifestyle going? I don't want to live on my dad's couch again. It's literally the conversation we start to have.
yeah.
And I'm pacing in my office. There's no one there yet. And I'm literally having this conversation back and forth. Like I'm speaking out loud. He's hearing me, and then he's speaking into my mind. Like literally, I can hear a voice enter and answer the questions, and the conversation's going back and forth. It was one of the most electrifying, like burning bush sensation feelings I've ever had in my life. Like, and then my team started filing into their cubicles and their desks and their offices, and I'm like, and the conversation ended because that was weird. Having an open conversation with God, as
Yeah, because I was like, I would say like most people that are religious and they pray, they don't get like almost like conversational level responses when they're praying. Like they get like pictures in their head. They get an idea to do something. It's not so blunt. It's like talking to a woman, like everything's subtle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what was that like? I mean, if it's like he's actually responding in like sentences, that would blow my mind for a minute. Like I would be like, wait a minute, am I? Yeah. Did you feel that way?
It's just like we're talking right now. Yes. It's like we're talking right now. This is no different. I say something, you say something back. I respond to you, you respond to me. It's back and forth. This is no like, oh, I have a thought to go open a Bible and read this, like, no. Like, if you read Bibles, it's cool. I don't read Bibles, but if you read the Bible, great. If you go to church, great. Like, I don't go to church. If God tells me to go to church, I'll go to church. But this is like, there's no rules about this message that I'm sharing here. Like, I literally figured out this way through my own experience to like channel God's direction. So the conversation's over. I go about my day. I'm trying to close loans. Now, I had it set up so well to where the only thing that I would do in my company, myself, would be I would spend 5 to 15 minutes with each family on the phone, and I'd build a relationship and get them to trust me, get them to find, I'd find out what they needed, and then I would make sure I could handle it, and then I would let my team close the deal. I would build a relationship, and then my team would close the deal, and I would do this over and over again, like all day long, to a point to where I would get 2 to 5 new deals every single day in the pipeline, just churning every day. That day after this conversation, I wasn't able to close one. Like all of the people were like, nope, we're going to go somewhere else. Nope, your rate's too high. No, your fees are too, like, I don't get this. Like, this doesn't happen to me. Not trying to sound egotistical. I was very good. I was like a titan in the mortgage industry. Like, it's very good.
Yeah.
And I was one of the owners of the company. So it's not like people are going to beat me with rates. Like, I'm not paying a loan officer. Like, I'm the owner and the loan officer, like I like cut the middleman. So this is happening. And it was really rough for that, like an entire day. Like I just got no. And I just wasn't used to it. It was very odd.
So it was, it was like one day where like, it's not, you didn't feel like, oh, I just had an off day. It was like, I don't know. I'm trying to just, was this happening over multiple days? Because I've done sales and I've had like bad days.
Yeah.
And I try not to let it get me down, but it does suck. But it's like, but if it's happening like for, like you're just killing it. And then all of a sudden, like you go 2 weeks and you can't make a sale. Like that something's up. Something's up. Yeah.
So going one day without getting someone to say yes to me, something's up because of the volume that I created. Like I wasn't doing anything for 8 hours a day other than selling and building relationships. Like I literally like was so blessed with like a strategic mind to like make this happen. So like a $500,000 month was like no big deal for one person to earn because I had a team closing. I was just selling. Right. Yeah. So this was the day right after I had the conversation. God told me I was done. I didn't put the 2 and 2 together. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
This
I got
is
it.
Right immediately after, man. Like
so he killed your business.
He
lightning bolted your business.
So second day, I show up to the office. It's not that I forgot about the conversation with God, but like I got to go in and make some money, right? That's my mindset. Like shit, I didn't close anything, or I didn't gain anything. I didn't get any new apps in yesterday. No commitments. I'm gonna get some today. Zero, goose egg, nothing. They're saying the same shit to me. No, your rates are high. Like I'm not like this is like rookies in the industry hear this stuff.
Yeah,
and I've been
this was two
days in a row.
Okay.
No, not 2 days after. First, like morning of the 7th day of the month.
Okay.
God says I'm done. No commitments. Second day right after that, no commitments. Third morning, no commitments. Now I'm like really freaking out. It's 2.5 days. I haven't had anyone say yes to me. So I look at my calendar. I got a chiropractor appointment. I am so pumped, man, because I needed to get out of the office. I have a chiropractor appointment once a week. At least I did back then. It gave me a lot of energy. I wasn't hurt. It like made me go.
Okay.
So jump on my truck, go to the chiropractor's appointment. I'm in the waiting room. God starts talking to me again. And he says, delete your database. I'm like, all right, now this is getting like real. Like I delete my database. I got nothing. He's like, exactly. You're done. Isn't it kind of weird that you haven't been able to get anyone to say yes since we had this conversation 2.5 days ago? He like confirmed it. And I'm like, okay. He goes, do you trust me? And
so that's when you realized that he shut it off.
Yeah. I didn't even know. Like I couldn't put it together. Like that's how human I am, right? I'm just a guy. Like I'm not smart enough to like put that together at this point. I didn't. So I delete the database. Like literally my tech was so high level. It was in Google Docs and then a CRM system that was combined. I literally hit the delete. I went to trash, hit the delete. I'm done. I don't have anything. I
saw a clip where you were talking about that. And so for years I've worked in the tech industry, right? So when I heard that you're like delete the database, the first thing I thought of was, you didn't keep a backup of it, and then two, did your database administrator like have an aneurysm? Because the database administrators that I've worked with, like they are just anal about their databases, and so I just imagine like the boss deletes everything and they're just like, what in the what? Yeah.
Carnage. Straight up. Everything above. Yes. I don't see that yet though. I'm freaking out myself internally. Like I'm scared. I'm like, what the hell am I going to do?
Yeah.
Then they call me back for my adjustment. I'm like, okay, well, I'll go back there. They're calling me back. I go back there. I'm not talking with God anymore. The chiropractor, the same dude that works on me every week. Like my body's erect. It's like straight. It like won't move. He's pushed on me. He's like, there's a lot of stress in your life, Daniel. And I'm like, if you only knew what just happened in your waiting room. He's like, well, tell me. I'm like, we don't have time. You're not Dr. Phil. And I don't have 4 hours to explain what just happened. Like I'm out. So I leave. I go back to my office at the mortgage company. I don't know what else to do. I like slip in. I don't want anyone to see me because I'm like a wreck, like emotionally wrecked. Like I'm not crying like a little baby, but like I am like messed up mentally.
Well, I mean, also on top of that, I mean, all these people work for you, and you essentially are like putting them all out of work. That's a big responsibility. Yeah.
Yes, and so you could see the fear that was like these people. There was 5 people at that time that was full time on my salary, full time staff. Then we had other people in the corporate side of the office that was still like counting on me to bring in business because like they were hired to handle like the doc drawing and all the overflow funding and stuff that like my team wasn't handling personally. So like there was a tornado effect that was starting to brew. I could just see it. And I'm freaking out. And I start praying again in my office. I shut the door and I'm like, God, like, okay, I did what you told me to do. You told me to stop drinking. I stopped drinking years ago. You told me to, delete my database. I did that. What do I do now? He says, go home and then get up early tomorrow and go for a walk with me. And I'll tell you what your next steps are. And I'm like, you can't just like do this now. And he's like, nope, you're not ready. Like, okay. Like it's the same conversation we're having. Like that's how clear it was. So I went home. My kids are like, Dad, you're home. We love you, but why are you here? Because they're like freaked out because I'm always the office guy that's there until 5, 6, 7 o'clock, doing the deals. And I played with them. My little son's like playing the drums. My daughter's running around. She's just, at that time she was just learning how to walk. Like it was an exciting time. So it was great that I got to spend that time. And I literally like kind of was in a comfortable spot for that night, which was very different for me. Usually I would be stressed out.
Mm-hmm.
Then the next morning, some things happened. That was like the start to everything changing for me. Was
Okay.
the next morning. So can we talk about that?
Yeah. That's a great lead in. So you go for this walk with God, and he lays out the plan.
No, it wasn't that easy.
Wasn't that? It's never that easy.
No, it wasn't that easy.
He doesn't just give you 10 tablet or 2 tablets and tell you to no. Wow.
No,
okay.
He didn't send me an email. He didn't text me bullets. Like, this was not like I had to work for it. But I developed this rhythm. So I started walking, and I'm not like a park guy, but for some reason, like my truck drove to the park, right?
Okay.
This is weird. The sun's not even up. I'm in the park. There's like a couple homeless people there. That's it. Like, that's it. And so I'm walking, and I'm like, all right, God, what do I do next? He's like, well, what specifically do you need help with? And I'm like, now I'm about ready to cuss. Like, I'm like, are you shitting me? Like, so I started laying it on him. I'm like, okay, let me get strategic then with these questions. Number one, how do I get out of this lease that obviously I don't need anymore because I'm not closing mortgages anymore. I don't need an office. He tells me strategically how to do it. Call the president of the company. Tell him you're going to give him your whole active pipeline, and in return, he's going to take over the lease. It's a win-win for him, and it's a win-win for you. And I'm like,
wasn't the pipeline deleted with the database or no? Or
yeah, but there was active files going, so there was still commissions that were in the kitty that was coming. A lot of commissions for that month, if you remember, like a lot.
Okay,
like hundreds of thousands of dollars. So I'm like, if I just give him that money, then the lease is way more taken care of. There was like 2.5 years left on the lease, so he's whole, right? So I'm like, okay, well, that's a great idea. I'll do that. And then I'm like, what do I do about my employees? They're counting on me. I had 5 people at the time. Like I said, 2 of them worked with me long enough to go from bad credit to great credit and then purchasing their first homes. So like it wasn't like, oh, I got to find a new place to live because I got to get cheaper rent. No, it's like they have a mortgage, they put down payments. Like, it's a serious deal. So I'm like thinking about them. I'm like, God, what do I do? And he's like, call Greg. He wants your whole staff. Think about the system you built. Your system's better than anybody's system in the business. He will gladly take on all your employees. He'll pay them what, you tell them to pay them, and they'll be happy, and they'll be able to work at the corporate office because, you're not going to be doing this anymore. And I'm like, okay, great. So like, I would like strategically like get the question and then the answer. And then I would like make the move. And this happened for 3 or 4 days of like literally unwinding this deal. And then I had a coaching business at the time. I was teaching realtors how to lead gen because I was really good at marketing and really good at sales and closing. So I was teaching realtors the opportunities and the things that I was doing to get my business and an online business. God tells me to shut that business down too. And I'm like, okay, now I have no income coming in, God. Like, I've got money in the bank, but I got no income. And he's like, don't worry. You're built for way more than what you're doing now. And he's like leading me on, but he won't give me like the 2 tablets that you mentioned, like the first day. Like, he's not giving me that.
Okay.
But he's giving me pieces, and every single piece that he gives me is a move that I literally would immediately like go, because I had a couple of weeks left on the office in the negotiation. So I would go back to the office, empty office. No one was there anymore because the team went over to the corporate side, and literally big empty office with myself, me and God, and like my vibe board. I'm like writing all this stuff out, how I'm unwinding my life, like one step at a time. And I have this rhythm that I'm developing to where I'm walking with God. Like, I was spending, sometimes it would be 15, 30 minutes that I'd walk with God. Sometimes it's an hour and a half, 2 hours. It was just that intense. Then I realized that like I got so good at being able to channel like a direct conversation like me and you are having right now, that with God, that literally I started pulling out my phone and I would go on like a voice to text like note, and I would hit record, and then I would ask a question. I'd be like, God, what's my focus and direction for my financial purpose? Because it wasn't like a money problem, it was a financial purpose. Like, what okay, if I'm bigger and better than a mortgage guy, like, what am I supposed to be? And then he would like give me downloads, and it was so much information I didn't want to miss it. So I would literally like close my eyes as I'm walking, have this have myself recorded, my voice recorded, voice to text, and everything that he would inspire in my head, I would say out loud, and it would literally be like these paragraphs of downloads that he'd dump on me. And then I would go back to my office. I go to my vibe board, and I would literally take apart everything that he gave me, and I would just make moves. I would like act. I was working harder on this stuff than I've ever worked in my life. And it wasn't like closing mortgages and making hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was literally listening to God. And my life completely changed. My mindset completely changed when I started doing that. Completely.
So he's telling you stuff to do, what moves to make. How long did that, what was that process like that led up to the app itself?
Yeah. So the unwinding process took about 30, maybe 60 days. I can't remember exactly how long, but it was a month or 2 months worth of like what I'm talking about. Like I was literally going back to my home after I didn't have the office anymore. And I was like just doing the same thing at my home office at a big house. So like I had room and all of this stuff. Right. And as I'm doing this, he's given me more. And then one morning he said, okay, now I'm going to answer this question the way you want me to answer it, son. And I'm like, please. He's like, you are going to charge and you're going to build an army of men for me. You're going to find the alpha men, the masculine men that want to be a part of my army to change the world forever. And I'm like, holy shit. Like, okay, I'm in. Like you don't, not very many people get an opportunity to work directly for God and like build an army for God. Like, this is not like, I'm going to build a church and I'm going to get people to come to church. Like that's all cool. But this is like 50 levels deeper than that. This is like, I'm going to find men and I'm going to find the right men. And these strong alpha masculine men are going to be connected directly to God like I am now. And God is going to tell them what to do and what moves to make our world a better place. He's like, there's good versus evil. He goes, and this evil is like tipping the scales, all the propaganda, all of the politics, all of the bad things that are happening right now is not something God wants. This gender confusion, this, I don't know if I'm a man or a woman thing. Like, think about like how society is weakening men as a whole. Like if a country came in and tried to invade us right now, we're in big trouble because we don't have a strong army. Like, you know what the military forces are being taught to do right now is learn how to not be racist and learn how to be nice to everyone.
Yeah,
that's their training, dude.
I just saw a news headline that the Marines are being told not to use sir or ma'am so that they don't accidentally misgender somebody. I'm like,
are you kidding me right now? Like,
I was a sailor. Like I was in the military. I'm like, this is absurd. You know, I cannot believe that.
Yeah, it gives me chills. Thank you for your service and thank you for sharing that with me. Like, I respect you a million times more. I already respected you, but that's awesome that you did what you did.
My pleasure.
You know, if you're with brothers and you're doing whatever you're doing in that sector of the military, like, do you want a dude next to you that thinks he's a girl protecting you or fighting with you? Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah, it's an interesting situation because it's like, you know, when I served, it was I joined under when Bill Clinton was still president, and he had the whole "don't ask, don't tell" thing. So there was guys. I mean, there was guys you could tell that they probably, you know, were a little maybe light in the loafers or something like that. but they kept it to themselves, and it wasn't a big deal. It wasn't all in your face. So it's like, you know, it wasn't that big of a deal. But now it's like they serve openly. It's almost like a distraction. Yeah. I would think it would be a distraction.
Yeah. Well, God's telling me all this, and I'm not like I'm not into politics. I don't like listen to the news. Like, I won't watch the news. I don't listen to the propaganda. Like, I don't even know any of this stuff. Right.
Yeah.
He's telling me this.
I see it on Twitter periodically, but yeah, I gave up the news a couple of years ago because I was like, it's not serving me. You know, like I try to focus on things that I can change, that I have direct control over.
Yeah.
And I noticed that, like, if I'm just focusing on the news, like half that stuff doesn't impact my day-to-day life. So why am I worried about it? You know?
Yeah.
And I gave it up. Now I'm happier, way happier.
Yeah, absolutely. And not to mention, what you're seeing is what you're supposed to be seeing, not really the truth. Like the news outlets, all of them are controlled by forces that are not our government. They're forces above our government trying to take over our country. Like that's what's happening. And like literally God is like bit by bit telling me all these pieces. And he's like, that's the reason why you're going to find men. That's the reason why you're going to connect men to me. And I'm like, okay, how am I going to connect men to you? And then he tells me, he goes, you're going to build the God Walk app. He goes, you have a rhythm. You already know how to ask questions and you already know how to channel me. You know how to get into this flow state that you're in, because I can get into it whenever I want. Like if I'm walking and I ask God a question, he answers me every single time. There's like a time in the day that I can't get an answer. And it's not like no pony show. Like I'm not a psychic and I'm not going to like do tricks for people. Like that's not what this is for. But what it's for is like the direct connection. Like I know what I'm supposed to do and what I'm supposed to hear because I'm connected to God. And God's like, you're going to find these men. You're not going to find women. Women are great, but you're going to find men. Men are the ones that are going to change the world. He goes, you need to find these strong men and you need to connect them with me with this app. And then you need to meet with them every quarter and you need to build this army for me. I'm going to tell them strategically what they're supposed to do and what their part is, singly. But as a group, we're going to meet and we're going to be spending some time together. So we're starting that movement, which is incredible. It's going to be the strongest movement. Everyone's going to know about it here in the next 6 to 8 months. Everyone, that could be a household name. Man of God.
So let's talk about the app a little bit. So obviously you have figured out how to channel God and talk directly to him. How do you do that through an app? Is it, and I know I'm going to get a comment like this, and this is why I'm asking. I'm not trying to be a dick or anything, but does it work like a magic 8-ball? Like what's the app do?
Yeah. It's kind of funny. Some people think like whenever I do a show with like a preacher, they think that, and I'm not saying you're a preacher, but I'm just saying like, I just want to give you a friend.
I'm the farthest thing from a preacher.
But they'll think like that there's like AI and like, when you say certain words, then like it'll grab a Bible verse and like give you a hymn or something to read. Like that's not what it is.
I would, I'm really curious about that because you're gonna get these types of questions,
Yeah, and here's the thing: the people that are completely skeptical might not be the people I'm looking for. Sure. Like I really want like your audience to hear that. Like this might not be for you if you're like completely like putting your hands up. Like, look, I'm not here to sell you anything. Like I'm here to connect you with God directly. So for people that are open for it, like then they'll hear what we're about to talk about, which is I found a rhythm to where I have these questions that are inside this app. And when you read the question, then you hit the box, you hit your recording piece, your microphone on your phone. And when you hit the question, you're answering. So there's parts of the questions that you answer with your own voice. And then there's questions that you answer that are inspired thought from God. That's still your voice that you're speaking into the device. So it's, and if we got maybe 5 minutes, I can kind of break down the sections of it. And I think it'll make a better idea for you. Is that okay?
we got tons of time. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So I realized this from trial and error. Like no one told me this and God didn't tell me exactly how to set this up either. Like I was like doing it in trial and error because of like my own walks. So what I noticed was I'm very like strategic. Like I've said, like that's my favorite word. I've said it probably 8 times already and I'll probably say it another 18. Like it's my favorite word because when you're strategic, you're not wasting any time. You're not messing around. You're going to have your desired outcome every single time if you're strategic and you do it right. You just keep going. You don't quit. So I'm like, I need to be strategic with these walks. So I'm going to set an intention. That's the first thing I'm going to do with God. So as I'm like using my phone before the app was created, I'm like in my phone, I'm saying, God, my intention for today's walk is to work out this, to have this situation worked on, to have this, to gain clarity on this. This is what I'm looking for. And then I would move on. I'm not giving God orders. I'm just telling God, this is my preference. This is my intention that I'm setting, and whatever happens, happens because you're the boss. Like that's literally like my attitude here. Right. So that would be the first piece is like setting an intention. That is not God talking to me. That's me talking to God. Right. The second question inside the app is where I get into gratitude, because something I noticed when I'd set that intention, I would be in fear a lot of the times. Like, God, how am I going to unwind this lease? Or how am I going to take care of my employees? Like, I'm scared now, right? That's fear. And so I noticed, I'm like, I don't want to go to God in fear. That is not the right vibration I need to be in to be able to channel this, because it wouldn't work. Like if I was in fear, there was like a block. I couldn't hear God. But when I was in gratitude, it opened it completely up. So what I would start doing is the second question after I set the intention, even if it was negative, even if it was like fear-based, even if it was like a fear vibration that I was in, I would flip it. And I would say, over the last 24 hours, here are the highlights that I was able to enjoy. I got to take out my motorcycle. I got to race my race car. I took the kids out. We did this. I had an amazing dinner. I cooked the baddest steak in the world, like whatever it was. Like I would be grateful. I would get into gratitude. And I noticed that I couldn't be in fear and gratitude at the same time. It just didn't work. It was impossible. So I'm setting an intention. Now I'm in gratitude. So now I'm like opening up like a good conversation with God because I'm in the right vibration. I'm opening up and I'm like opening this channel. And then the third piece, which was massively important, was I had to lay it on the table, is what I call it. Like I have to tell God where I'm at. He already knows where I'm at, but I have to look in the mirror, like literally like look in the mirror as I'm a naked man, like looking directly at myself and like understanding what I see completely with no filter. Like, God, here's where I'm at with my financial purpose. I know you know, but I want you to know that I know, right? Like that's the conversation going on. Like my business is here. I want it to go here. The impact is here. I'm helping this many men. I want to do this. And I really want to, I want to do this. This is working good. This isn't working bad. Whatever it is, I'm telling them. And so I would do that with my financial purpose. Then I would do it with my body and health. God, I feel really strong. I've been lifting just like you told me to. I've been lifting every day, like literally every day. I've been eating the way you told me to eat for my body. I feel full of energy and vibrant, and I'm just ready to just take on the world. That would maybe be one of them. Like that was the one today. And then like the third section would be where I'm at with my relationships. Like, God, I cannot believe how much sex I keep getting to have. Thank you. Right. Like, thank you. I have blowjobs on demand, and no disrespect to my wife. Like it's amazing when I like show up for my wife the way that I do.
Yeah.
She loves me, or I get massages, or I do this, or I do that. Like, God, thank you. This is what I'm doing. There's gratitude in there, but there's also like where I'm at. Or, me and my wife, we had a disagreement, but we quickly got through it. I know you saw it, but I just want you to know, like, I'm glad we're able to get through it quickly, or my kids, our relationship together is great. Like whatever it is, like God knows. But the second that I let God know that I know, and I'm going to be honest about it, that like opens the door for his coaching. And that's the last section of the God Walk app is where I'm reading a question these sections before, and I'm answering with my own voice and my own thoughts. This is where the magic happens, is when you ask these questions, you're asking for God's coaching. I set an intention, I got into gratitude, and I got honest with everything that's going on in my life. Now, God, what is my focus and direction for my financial purpose today? And then I pause. And I'm just walking. Sometimes I close my eyes, sometimes I don't. But I'll just start hearing his voice. And as I hear his voice, I pick out my phone, I hit the little record, and I start speaking his voice. His thoughts are coming out of my voice, and it's being recorded into the God Walk app. I do that for my financial purpose. I do that for my body and health, and I do that for my relationships. So God is literally coaching me on the 3 target or core areas of life on a daily basis. So literally, like, I have this in writing. I have this in, recorded inside my app now. And all the men that are walking with me and a part of this get to have God coaching them, every single morning in the core areas of life, to where if your financial purpose, your body and health, and your relationships are solid, there's nothing more you need to worry about. Like ultimately your connection with your creator, but that's already happening automatically because you're working with them with these 3 things.
Yeah.
You can't have a more abundant life. And that's like where I get to be today. Like everyone looks for answers, man. Like they're listening to your podcast because they want answers. They're looking for you to be like, hey, I really need to hear something that's going to help me. That's why they're listening, or that's why they buy, a ticket for one of these coaches or one of these gurus. Like they want answers. And the only thing I say to that is all of that is amazing. It's beautiful. And you should start with God. You really should, because God can also tell you who to hire, who to work with, what coaching package to buy. Like he tells me which teams to buy and deploy, and to hire. He's like, hire this team. I'm like, great. And then they're like the most amazing in alignment for our mission team ever. Like I just hired somebody else for our app development. You know, we're always making our app better. I just hired somebody else, and it's because God told me to. It's the right guy.
Yeah.
You know, so it's been amazing.
How long is the app out already, or are you in pre-launch or what?
The app is actually officially out as of just a couple of days ago. So yes, it's available now. Okay. We've had it in testing for a while with quite a few individuals working on it and working with it. It is completely ready. It's on the Android and the Apple iOS store, available for purchase now. It's $399. Here's the thing. Get a skin in the game. God does not want this for free. If we were to give an app and give everyone keys to the kingdom and literally have an opportunity to get every single answer you've ever been looking for, you just download this free app and then you're not going to use it. You got to spend some money. So it's $399. You don't even got to pull out your credit card. You just hit purchase on your phone. And we made it very easy. And then now you can be a part of you know, the Godspeed, and you can be a part of walking with God and part of the God Walk app. Like lives will be completely different once they start doing that.
So like I said, I mentioned I was in I worked in tech for a long time. What was beta testing like with that? I mean, like what did that look like?
4 months of arguing.
4 months of arguing.
Everything was custom, so it didn't fit in a box, and the development teams and the developers and stuff. I'm not a techie guy like at a Java level, and they run everything in Java on these apps. So I wasn't like speaking their language. Sure. So there was work that needed to be done, you know, and I knew what it was supposed to feel like because I created it myself. So as I'm like pumping them with information, they're sending it back to me, and I'm on my phone. I'm like, no, this doesn't feel right. This is wrong. And then they would fix it. And then to a point to where now, like I'm changing the coaching industry completely upside down with what we're doing. Like inside the app, here's what else is beautiful about the app. You know how like when you buy a program or something, then you get logins to like a Kajabi account or ClickFunnels, like fulfillment center, right? There's none of that with Godspeed with Daniel. Literally the Godwalk app is the fulfillment center. We have loads of training inside the app to where you like click on the app and all the modules for all the video training is there. And the video training is not me training you on how to have a better life. It's me training you on how to channel God's voice so you can actually know when it's his voice or your voice. And then it's up to you to actually do the work. So I'm not like a motivational coach. I'm just the guy that's going to teach these men how to actually utilize the software. And then it's up to them and God what they get out of it. Like if someone's like going, I can't believe this is true, you know, you should pray about it. You really should. You should sit down. You should, with your own connection that you have right now, close your eyes and ask God if this dude's for real. You know, and it's that simple. You know, people that work with this, they have the ultimate answers. That's all we're looking for is answers. Here's the way you can get them.
Got it. With a lot of things like this, products like this, usually people offer some kind of guarantee. Obviously, if people don't do it right, I mean, like, how can you guarantee anything on this? Or
so every single person that we have went through beta test, every single person that has literally done this correctly to where they've listened to the training, they understand how to get into flow state, they have connected with God 100% of the time. There's not, there's some people that it doesn't work for. There's none of those. As long as they do it the way that it's designed to actually be utilized, they get answers every single time. So there's no question that it works. The question is, are they going to do the work? You've heard this before in a lot of this stuff.
Oh, sure.
This is the truth. And here's the other thing. How many times we spent $2,000, $5,000, $10,000 for some live event or some course or some this or some that. And like, you got 87 hours worth of training to cover. And if you don't do all of it, you're not going to make your money back. Like, that's not what this is. It's literally just an opportunity for you to have customized coaching and training from God himself. Like, I'm not the guru. I'm not going to teach you something. I'm just going to teach you how to connect with God. And then God's going to tell you what to do. That's what the difference is here. That's why I was telling you the fulfillment on this is light years ahead of anybody that is anything that's been created, anything. This company will be a $1 billion company with a B in the next 24 months. I can guarantee you that. Like, we have it on record. I've been talking about this for like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of broadcasts out there now that's got me on here saying this. I'm saying it here, and I said it on all the other ones, like $1 billion company in 24 months. And not because of money. Like, I don't need to make money. Like, I already know how to make money. It's not like a problem to make money for me. It was the fulfillment. It was me being fulfilled. And now I understand I'm connected to something that's way stronger than anything I've ever been connected to. I'm like working directly for God. That right there is the impact, is what I'm after. So when we have $1 billion company, you can imagine how many downloads we'll have with the app, how many people will be walking with God, and it's going to be amazing. It's going to be incredible.
All right. One last question here, because we're almost at an hour. So you mentioned that there's a lot of broadcasts out there already. I've watched some of them. I've watched some of your YouTube shorts. And one thing I couldn't help but notice is your choice use of colorful words. And
Yeah.
As a sailor, like, I totally dig it. Like, but do you worry that it might turn off some more uptight religious practitioners?
I don't really care.
You don't care?
That's my answer. I don't care. I don't care who I piss off. I only care about who I'm going to impact and who I'm going to connect to God. That's it.
Okay. Yeah.
And if you notice, I'm like in the pocket with you because this is your channel. This isn't my Instagram feed. My Instagram feed is definitely a lot more choice words.
Oh, I know. That's why one of the first things I noticed, because I was going through your shorts and I was like, man, this guy cusses like me. This is
yeah.
And I usually do cuss a lot on the podcast. I'm trying to tone it down a little bit because it's like every video I put up on YouTube now, like they immediately want to demonetize me, and I have to go in and get the manual review. I'm like, are you serious? Come on.
Yeah.
But
they're kind of uptight. They got their panties in a bunch, whatever.
So one thing I've learned, because I network with a lot of other like YouTubers and stuff, and they're like, it's cool if it's like if there's no cussing within the first 30 minutes, then after that, you can say whatever you want. And I'm like,
so the filter is for the first 30 minutes. I thank you for letting me know that.
Yeah.
Then we can talk truck driver, after 30 minutes.
I think it's so funny, but yeah, that's really what it comes down to. Like, the advertisers, aren't looking past 30 minutes, so they don't care after that. But no, Daniel, this is actually a very interesting conversation. I'm looking forward to hearing more about this app, and I'm sure people out there listening want to hear more about it. So they could find it in the Apple Store. They can find it in the Google Play Store. Where can people find you online, Daniel?
Yeah, so they can go to godspeedwithdaniel.com, godspeedwithdaniel.com. And then if they feel called to do more than just be with the app and walk with God, if they want to be considered to be a part of God's army and a part of men of God and literally be selected, like, I'm handpicking. If you want to jump on the phone with me and have a conversation and me interview you and you interview me and find out if you're a good fit to be a part of this army, that we're going to be, together for 12 months. Then, you can apply on the actual site. So go to godspeedwithdaniel.com/men of God. You can submit your application. You'll get me on the phone. We'll talk. It might be 5 minutes, might be 20 minutes, who knows, but we'll figure out if we're a fit. If we're a fit, then we can work, hand in hand for the next 12 months, which is really exciting. Like, I can't wait to see what happens when we have can you imagine like a room of like 5,000 like alpha masculine men that are like all connected to God, like listening to the same voice, wanting to like go out and change the world? Could you imagine like if the wrong person walked into that room, what would happen?
It would be definitely an interesting experience. That's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, it would be. And just to like, I can see the energy now. I've put together rooms before in my coaching businesses, and the rooms were great, but it was all about like making money, right? It was all about lead gen and closing skills and, database and all that other cool stuff that like people do in business. But, and yes, the men of God and God's army, they'll have the strategic tools to explode their financial purpose and their body and health and their relationships. But it's like 10 levels higher than that when it's like, okay, what's God telling you to do to change the world? Like, he told me to build this room and he told me to connect you guys to him. That's what he told me to do to change the world. What is he telling you? Like, that's literally going to be the training. Like, we're going to be working together on distinguishing like God's coaching and God's revelation on how we're going to change the world together. Like, these men are going to become brothers. It's going to be a brotherhood that's going to be just unpenetratable. Like, you can't say something to a room like that that's not true when everyone's listening to God. That's why I'm like so excited about it. So if you feel called to do more than just walk with God in the app, then apply to be, considered to be a part of God's army and men of God. That's on the website, godspeedwithdaniel.com. And I'd love to jump on the phone and see if we can work together.
Sounds great. I will put links to all these in the description. Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today, man. I really appreciate it.
You're a great guy. Like I said, I was really excited about this. I love what you're doing. I love your angle, and I love that your truth. You speak the truth, which is something not very many people are doing these days. And
certainly
I love
try.
It. Yeah,
certainly try. All right, man. Have a good night.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
Daniel, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Your concept for your Godwalk app is interesting. It's very interesting, to say the least. Guys, if you want to download the app, there's going to be a link in the description for at least his website, for Daniel's website, which is godspeedwithdaniel.com. So if you have more interest in the app or in his group or Daniel himself or more of his story, check out his website for sure. If you guys haven't done so already, please like, subscribe, hit those notifications, drop a comment. If you haven't dropped a comment yet, drop a comment. Any comment will do down below. It helps out the algorithm. It helps out more than it should. Also, be sure to follow me on all social media platforms. The links are in the description as well. I say that Instagram's the best place to follow me. That's I've got the most amount of content and value there. Twitter's also really good too. I'm more myself on Twitter, right? I post just sort of whatever I'm thinking half the time. I'm interacting with a lot of the Rule Zero guys on Twitter. So if you want like the unfiltered version of myself, Twitter's a good place to follow me as well. Be sure to support the show. Patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. You can join for as little as $10. $10 gets you on the beer credits, which I'll be showing here in a minute or two on YouTube. It also gets you all of these episodes ad-free. So just the interview portions, you get that. And then, if you want some kind of coaching, any kind of coaching, date coaching, relationship coaching, I'm a certified master life coach now. All right. I just got my master life coach certification. So if you're looking for some kind of life coaching, check out the Patreon. Tiers 2 and 3 are geared towards coaching. I just had a guy call me yesterday. Actually, we had a consultation call where he wanted to see if this would be a good fit for him. And I think he would be a good fit for this. But he's not necessarily interested in dating. He's interested in life coaching. He wants to get more control over his life, right? More control over his career and his circumstances. He's been a guy that since he was 18 sort of has been floundering through life, couch surfing and living with friends and borrowing money and ending up in homeless shelters and stuff like that. And now he's in his early 30s and he's ready to finally take back control of his life. And so that's why he reached out to me to join the coaching program. I can help with that. I'm 43 years old, man. I've been around the world. I've seen a lot of stuff, man. The stuff that I know it transcends dating. But the funny thing about learning about dating, about understanding how to get better with women, is it tends to make you a better man in general. So all the steps necessary to make you more of an attractive man to women actually will level up all areas of your life. It's pretty fascinating. So if that resonates with you, check out the Patreon, patreon.com/ComeOnManPod. And as a benefit for the month of February, you can also get my Law of Attraction course, loa.comeonmanpod.com. I'm giving a 50% off coupon to all Patreon members for the month of February. Okay, so you can get on the Patreon for as low as $10 and get the course for half off. Okay, so check that out. Join the Patreon, and then you get my Law of Attraction course, which I've said in multiple episodes, right? My Law of Attraction course isn't woo-woo magic, right? It's not magical thinking. Okay, it's a course on mindset, and once you get this stuff down, once you understand how to reprogram your subconscious mind, everything else in your life that you want will fall into place. It will fall into place once you get your mind right. So that's what this Law of Attraction course is about. It's not about genies granting wishes and stuff like that. If you haven't done so, get on the email list, rather, list.comeonmanpod.com. That's list.comeonmanpod.com. And I will send you free stickers just for getting on the list. I'm not spamming people. It's really just, so I can let you guys know if I ever get deplatformed or whatever. And then the stickers that you get with this, the designs for those stickers are also available on my new merch store with Teespring. And you can access that by going to merch.comeonmanpod.com. That's merch.comeonmanpod.com. And you can get, coffee mugs and tank tops and t-shirts and sweaters and hoodies and all that kind of stuff with these, these fun little, slogans on them. Like, ladies, none of you can be first, but all of you can be next. So get that, support the show. And I think that's pretty much all I have this week. So I hope you liked it. And I guess we'll see you guys on Wednesday for the live stream. Check that out on YouTube, 10 a.m. Eastern time. We'll talk to you guys later.
This has been the Come On Man podcast. New full episodes served hot every Monday morning on your favorite podcast platform of choice. So subscribe now. Follow Paul on social media. The links are in the description. Now, go out and get it.